Now that the New Orleans Saints have restructured the contract of Michael Thomas, do you think it's more likely that we'll see him in a Saints uniform next season, or do you see him playing for a new team next season?
To be honest, I'll be blunt. I don't think he's going to be in New Orleans next year. As Kyle alluded, he's missed basically the last 2 seasons. And to his own accord, though, Kyle, we've talked about this also. When the season ended on Drew Brees last year, he should have had surgery immediately. He tried to rehab it, and then he had a setback, and then he didn't have the surgery until basically right before the regular season. That's on him. That's on his camp. That's on his representatives, whatever. Michael Thomas did this to himself. He could have easily fixed this by having the surgery after the Super Bowl of last year, and he chose not to. It is what it is. I don't know the exact, medical reasons as to why he chose to try to heal it the old-fashioned way, but whatever. Michael Thomas's contract was large. We all know that Michael Thomas, I believe just a few years ago, signed a 5-year, $96 million deal with the Saints. They've now restructured it, and now Michael Thomas is, like Kyle said, a little bit more of an attractive piece to go out there and acquire. Definitely a cap hit, but something that teams can deal with because when healthy, he is arguably a top 3 receiver in the NFL. Now, I looked up some teams that are looking to acquire some wide receivers just in the draft. Imagine instead of a rookie that you're taking a gamble on with a draft pick, whether in the first round or the sixth round, you can go out there and acquire a Michael Thomas. The Miami Dolphins jump right off the page to me. The Indianapolis Colts jump off the page to me. The Green Bay Packers jump off the page for me. But Green Bay, not so much because Green Bay obviously has to worry about the Aaron Rodgers debacle and re-signing Devontae Adams. So cap-wise, that doesn't make sense to me. But my next team, the Philadelphia Eagles. There are plenty of teams that need a receiver like that. There are plenty of teams that need help on the offensive side of the ball. And all the teams that I just listed have some availability in the cap space. Again, when you make a trade of that magnitude, it's going to come with some other pieces. You're going to have to give up some capital to get somebody like that as well. But with me not knowing how contracts work specifically in the NFL, with trades of how much of the contract the older team has to, eat because of a guaranteed money deal or whatever the case may be, I truly believe that he is going to immediately take a team to the next level. Miami was on the bubble last year. Miami didn't really have a receiver outside of Jalen Waddle. Devontae Parker's always injured and whatnot, and they have a litany of other players that are in and out of the lineup because of injury and COVID last year or whatever. Philadelphia Eagles, they missed out on major draft picks a couple of years in a row. DK Metcalf they passed on. They got JJ Arcega-Whiteside. And again, unfortunately, this is just how his career is going to be labeled. They went for Jalen Reagor instead of Justin Jefferson, and that's going to stay with Reagor for the rest of his life because he's going to be labeled the guy that could have been Justin. Devontae Smith needs some help out there. Jalen Hurts needs another target to throw to outside of Goddard. The Indianapolis Colts, obviously, my team. We don't have a fucking receiver outside of Michael Pittman. I love Zach Pascal. He's not a definitive number one. And we got a bunch of young guys in and out of the lineup. Again, but first, we need a quarterback. And, of course, an edge rusher. But I'm not going to get into the specific needs of other teams. I'm just saying there are teams that he could take to that next step and basically be in a better situation than he is in New Orleans. There is no guaranteed quarterback situation right now in fucking New Orleans. And Jameis is coming off of a torn ACL. So we have no idea what's going to happen with that either. I'm just saying, I think it behooves Michael to leave, go to a competitor, and it's like a prove it year because you need to show, hey, listen, I still got this. I'm still MT, and I want to keep this money, and I want to re-sign an extension. So, yes, he still has 2 years left on that deal, but you got to understand, dude, if anything, Carson Wentz shows just because you got guaranteed money don't mean the team ain't scared to cut you. The Colts are about to do that with Carson. So Michael Thomas at that position with injuries, I don't think anybody's scared to cut him either.
Well, when it comes to Michael Thomas, to kind of like take your point that you made, it's like this is kind of like a prove it year for him. I'll kind of rephrase it a different way. I think this is more of like, did you forget who I am type of year? Because the way that I see it is Michael Thomas, when he's healthy, is one of the best receivers in the NFL. I mean, Kevin, we're only 2 years removed from him putting up damn near 150 catches, over 1,700 yards receiving, and almost 10 receiving touchdowns in 2019. He was one of the most prolific receivers, really the last couple seasons that Drew Brees was in a Saints uniform. I mean, from like 2016 to 2019, Michael Thomas was putting up over 110, 120, 130 catches consistently and was constantly getting 1,300 yards receiving, 1,400, 1,500 yards receiving. Like it was like a walk in the park for him. Now, granted, these injuries have definitely hurt him as far as his availability goes. I mean, he missed the entire year last year. So, to me, this is a season where he can come back into the fold for New Orleans and say, listen, you guys remember me, right? You guys know what I'm capable of. And trust me, if he's ready to go, if he's 100% ready to go, I think wherever he goes, whether it's with the Saints this upcoming season or if he gets moved to a new situation with a new team, I think he provides an instant spark for that wide receiving core wherever he is. And I think he's going to bring a lot of excitement just because, Kevin, he's only 28 years old. I think people get this idea that like Michael Thomas is like in like his early 30s and he's kind of hitting like the end of his career. That is not the case whatsoever. He's 28 years old. He's in the prime of his career. And to me, I would love to see Michael Thomas go back to the Saints and absolutely light it up for over 100 catches, 1,500 yards receiving, try to get 10 receiving touchdowns. But you don't really know what New Orleans' intentions are when it comes to Michael Thomas because they know that injury history is a major issue with him. And they may look for suitors to possibly trade him. Now, they would probably get a couple draft picks back. They may get a receiver in return from him. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. But if I had to kind of put it on whether or not that he stays, whether he goes, I think initially he stays with the Saints, but I think they'll actually move him in the season. Just because I think the Saints' proposition when it comes to this plan with Michael Thomas is they're going to see how good he is in the initial part of the year. I think that'll drive up his trade value. And if there are teams willing to give up a decent amount of trade capital or they're going to possibly trade some players to go along with that, I think the Saints could definitely make a move and send him somewhere else. Just because I think the Saints are in a situation where they may want to clear up a little more cap space since they are in a rebuilding phase. Now that Drew Brees is gone, now that Sean Payton's gone, it's an entirely new leaf in New Orleans. And I think they may be looking to kind of essentially kind of redo this entire roster to start a clean slate and kind of build it back up with some younger talent. And that may mean moving one of their best players in Michael Thomas. So I'm kind of open to the door that he's going to play with the Saints early on. But if I had to guess, I think he actually gets moved in the season, not during this offseason.